Michael Avenatti is disgusting. He masked as someone who upholds the law just so he can be a criminal. This dude took an oath to uphold the law, never seek to mislead judge or jury, and operate honestly. Instead, he used the law to prey on people that he was supposed to protect. He's been arrested for violating the conditions of his bail. It's purported that after his first arrest last spring, he moved money around illegally, attempting to hide it, so he's being held without bond. It's been revealed from newly unsealed documents that he has been accused of stealing from over 100 more clients. This is the worst kind of perpetrator that there is, and I'm glad his ass is in jail. Avenatti represented Super Bowl ticket holders in May 2017. He entered into an agreement with the NFL for a settlement of about $1.5 million and a dismissal of all legal claims. It's said that Avenatti paid out only a small fraction of the settlement money that him and his law office received, and directed $1.3 million in settlement funds that should have been paid out to 170 people to his own personal and business expenses. He has a 36-count federal fraud indictment in Orange County, California, and in one of those charges, he's accused of hiding the presence of the NFL settlement from a bankruptcy court that's dealing with his former law firm. So we have a prosecutor being accused of hoodwinking many people and being unprincipled in his actions, so he appears to be villainous. This story deserves wall-to-wall coverage, but corporate media doesn't think so. Corporate media brought Michael Avenatti to prominence, so they're not going to bring him down. When he was arrested for trying to extort Nike, I asked, where's his mugshot? Someone in the comment section informed me that mugshots are not released in federal charges. Okay, so where are any images of him being arrested? Standing before the judge, him in jail clothes. Corporate media wants you to overlook these charges that are brought on him that expose him as sneaky, swindling, double-crossing, as an extortionist. And they're very skilled at manipulating the perception of the masses. They showed R. Kelly being powdered up during his emotional outburst on the Gayle King interview, and that was intentional. It wasn't to show his emotional state, but to give you the impression that it was all just a performance. Corporate media wants you to continually view Avenatti as cool, calm, and collected and professional, and that's why you won't see images of him being arrested, him in jail clothes, looking disheveled. You're not going to see any interviews from any of the clients he allegedly ripped off, like Stormy Daniels, or the football fans that never received their payout from the lawsuit, or even news that they won. Instead, we're seeing sympathy pieces. The Hill, I'm going to read one from The Hill. The title was, Michael Avenatti Should Not Be in Solitary Confinement. Imagine being held by yourself in a small, freezing cold cell 24 hours a day, not allowed to go outside, not allowed to make a phone call, not allowed to go to the bathroom without being watched, not allowed to shave, not allowed to visit with a family member, shivering and alone day after day. This is bad enough for a hardened convicted criminal who cannot safely be housed with others, but imagine being held in these conditions when you have not been convicted of any crime, and when the only crime of which you have been accused is a nonviolent financial crime. This is no crazy off-the-wall hypothetical. It is a strategy too often used against accused first-time nonviolent offenders in an attempt to crush them and coerce them into pleading guilty. This is what is happening right now to Michael Avenatti, and it is wrong. Like him or loathe him, he is presumed innocent until proven guilty under our justice system. He has not been convicted of any crime and is not charged with any violent offenses. He should not be held like a dangerous animal. So then it goes on to list why we should do away with the solitary confinement. When it comes back to defending Michael Avenatti, they're comparing his treatment to El Chapo. Michael Avenatti isn't El Chapo, but he's being housed in El Chapo's cell. El Chapo was the biggest drug dealer of our time. He killed witnesses and competitors, and he escaped from prisons. On the other hand, prosecutors allege that Avenatti violated his bond by trying to avoid creditors, by using money orders. He's no El Chapo. Let's have a debate about whether El Chapo should have been held in solitary confinement. I say he should not have been, but there can be no serious debate about Avenatti. Let the man prepare for trial in general population. This is one of the many reasons that our criminal justice system needs serious reform. Abolishing solitary confinement for pretrial defendants is one small but important step. So this was from The Hill. Politico had a similar sentiment. An excerpt from their article was, the judge said he was deeply disturbed when he read a letter from Srebrenik on Monday that said Avenatti was so isolated that he was separated by a partition from his lawyers when they met with him, and he was spending his nights alone in a cold cell. And some other articles, Avenatti has not stood trial on any of his charges, let alone be found guilty, yet his present situation would be considered harsh for a convicted murderer. He is charged with financial crimes, not violent ones, yet his attorney says he is being housed with suspected terrorists and stripped of almost all charges. His lawyer, he's forced to sleep with 3 blankets. Not surprisingly, he's been having a great time, a difficulty functioning. His attorneys argue that any incarceration is unnecessary and unfair, but solitary confinement of this nature is particularly aggressive and prevents Avenatti from aiding in his defense in the case. So this was just so interesting because none of these sentiments did we see for R. Kelly when he was jailed and thrown into solitary confinement. The tone was completely the opposite. No one reminding you that he's presumed innocent until proven guilty under our justice system. No one said it was harsh treatment for a convicted murderer, let alone someone who has not stood trial. Gloria Allred boldly said, too bad, don't do the crimes, which implies his guilt. They released stories of him complaining only one girlfriend could visit him at a time, and other silliness just to keep the story going, imprint that he's a sexual deviant, and keep you talking about it. One of the things that I really noticed with these stories is just when you just pay attention to what they do. Now, they compared Michael Avenatti to El Chapo. And I just found it interesting that they referred to it as El Chapo's cell. Doesn't the cell belong to the jail? El Chapo didn't own the cell. So what difference does it make who else was in that cell before? But that's their way of trying to say he's not as bad as this. And again, let's draw attention to a non-white man that's such a horrible criminal. Let's remind you that he was the biggest drug dealer of our time. He killed witnesses and competitors, and he escaped from prison. So Michael Avenatti doesn't deserve to be in that same cell. It has nothing to do with it. So this is what we deal with our media. This is what our media does. You know, when Bill Cosby was, when it first went down with Bill Cosby, I hardly watched the news. But I couldn't go anywhere without that coming up in conversation somehow because it was all over the place. It was talked about and talked about. Corporate media's job is to tell you what's important, tell you who you are and what you should do. And for all of y'all that want to say that there's no racism, the media isn't racist, the R. Kelly, Bill Cosby, Michael Jackson, and Russell Simmons situations are not about race, wake up. Show me one time in history that a black person got the Avenatti Weinstein treatment. Corporate media's program with the R. Kelly takedown flood you with rumors, gossip, people with opinions and stories that make him appear guilty, and cover up significant facts that will make you question his guilt. A story about R. Kelly missing a court date becomes promotion for the Gayle King interview all over again, a rehashing of all the charges, accusations made by the girls. We see corporate media operating like this time and time again when it comes to black men. Minutes after it was announced Kobe Bryant was dead, a journalist from the Washington Post took to Twitter to release an article about him being a rapist. You know, and they'll say, oh, yeah, well, she was suspended for that. And I think that they do that on purpose. Like, okay, they suspended her, but the story still was out there. And that's what they want out, because it seems like people just get mad when black men get away with something. And I shouldn't even say get away, like as if he did rape her. And who the hell is Evan Rachel Wood? How dare she say he was a rapist? That's the problem that I have with these situations, is that these people someone gets accused and then it just becomes that's it. And you have these people boldly coming out saying, he's a rapist, with no evidence to back up the story. That's one of the things that irks me the most about the R. Kelly story. I hear so much gossip and rumors and I see really no evidence. It's just like, if someone told you that your neighbor was a criminal and later you heard that same someone say, I paint people in the neighborhood as criminals so I can benefit. Would you believe that your neighbor was a criminal? Most likely you wouldn't. So this is why corporate media is burying the story about Avenatti allegedly being caught on camera saying 90% of what's out there about R. Kelly is bullshit. And it's something that shouldn't be overlooked or buried. Or better said, it shouldn't be overlooked or buried if they were about justice. If they were really giving a truthful and fair representation of the story, it wouldn't be one-sided. Michael Avenatti would not be allowed to appear on the third installment of the R. Kelly hit piece talking about how guilty he is and escape without scrutiny. Lisa Bloom would not escape without scrutiny after scheming to discredit Harvey Weinstein's accusers. Lisa Bloom and Michael Avenatti have been outed for using the media to manipulate the minds of the public for their own personal gain by painting false narratives about people. These stories gain no traction because it reiterates that the media is used to protect the powerful, even if that requires obstructing justice and destroying innocent people. Bloom, Avenatti, the 5-cent lying hoes accusing R. Kelly should all be getting the side eye every time they open their mouth. But the media has convinced the masses to give R. Kelly the side eye for saying that all these women are lying on him. When I look at this stuff, I think we have to do better as a people. Stop spending hours talking about irrelevant things as if they're significant. Stop allowing the system to keep their foot on our necks. We have the power to change minds. And learn from the pros. And multiply the messages that suggest foul play. Change the minds of the masses by undoing what corporate media is saying. Discredit corporate media. Avenatti referring to R. Kelly as a pedophile was multiplied by the media, even though pedophilia is an inappropriate connection to what he has been charged with. A pedophile is someone attracted to children before puberty. The women who claim to have been under the legal age limit were fully developed and way past puberty. Yet you have a large number of people classifying him as a pedophile. So you see what happens when people hear something in the media over and over. The media multiplies their messages knowing if they feed it to you long enough, you will take notice. If they feed it to you long enough, you're going to see it as important. If they feed it to you long enough, you're going to believe it. The media isn't replaying the information that Avenatti has been caught on camera and quoted saying, now 90% of that is going to be bullshit, because it's always bullshit 90% of the time. Always, whether it's R. Kelly or Trump. The list goes on and on. So it's up to us to multiply that message. Because my thing is, so what's the 10% that's true? Okay, that he's 53 years old, he's an R&B singer, hit records like I Believe I Can Fly, being accused of more than one woman, because that's all that we know for a fact that is true. Avenatti is the real predator we need off the street. Corporate media keeps stories of the despicable black man alive. They ignore all these white cops raping women. There's no steady drumbeat against any white man that has committed atrocious crimes. We have to stop allowing them to paint black people as the dregs of society while they excuse white misbehavior constantly. And that's how internal racism continues, when we keep allowing our image to be shown like that. And we have to stop overlooking how they paint us or someone or somehow excuse it because of who they're doing it to. A few months back, Chris Rock told some joke about Whitney Houston, about her and crack or something like that. And Bobby Brown checked him on it. E.T. Canada did a segment on that social media exchange, because this is an exchange that took place on social media. So they brought it nationwide by coming on E.T. Canada. So you have two white men sitting there talking about it, and they're going back and forth of whether they think that this joke is appropriate or not appropriate. This is what we don't need to go for it. It's not about them deciding what joke we feel is appropriate on our people. So they went on to say, oh, well, it's just a joke. And Chris Rock he should be okay to say this joke. Comedians do this, blah, blah, blah. But the part that really ticked me off was when at the end, one of them says, well, who's Bobby Brown to talk anyway? So what do they mean, who is he to talk? He was married to Whitney Houston. He should be talking. But that's their way of keeping the image of Bobby Brown as this bad boy. And this is what I mean, allowing them to keep painting black people the way they want to paint black people. And black people, y'all need to wake up and stop being fake mad. All the black people cheering the fact that R. Kelly is in jail. You're full of it. You don't give a damn about teenagers being fucked. You're mad because the powers that be told you to be mad. Because where's the outrage of the history of white men that do it? Thomas Jefferson was raping Sally Hemings when she was 13 years old, and you let them make it into a love story. You accepted it and watched it. Some of y'all bragged about Thomas Jefferson having black kids. And I didn't use Thomas Jefferson because I had to go that far back in history to find a white man that did it. I used him to show how you let white people rewrite your history and tell you who you are, to show you how your value system is based on what they tell you your value system should be. All of the YouTube vloggers that keep talking about how vile and disgusting R. Kelly or Bill Cosby are, why are y'all quiet on Jason Rogers Pope, the DJ that was infecting 13-year-olds with HIV? So stop with the bull crap. Just don't see this outrage in society when white men get off. Going to the airwaves to remind people about Kobe Bryant's rape case on the same day that it was announced that he was dead. But really, it shouldn't have been done at all, because this was years ago. It was done away with. He's been an upstanding citizen. All of this. But it just goes to show you how mad people are. They don't want to see a black man get off on anything. That's why we're still talking about OJ today. And I hate to say we're still talking about OJ today, but why we still have these, let's do a movie on OJ this year. Let's have someone write a book this year. What is OJ doing at the ice cream parlor? You know how it goes. We got to stop supporting these black celebrities and politicians, too, that have no loyalty to their color, that just use their color to advance, but then do nothing to advance their color. John Legend, he's endorsing Kim Fox now, and he said he did it in 2016, and he was thrilled to do it because of her ambition, compassion, and grace, and he's thrilled to do it again now in 2020. She's what America needs to racially transform the justice system. And all I could think when I was reading that was, see how friends work together. Fox, Legend, Bloom, Weinstein, Allred, Avenatti. Friends helping friends get things done. Get yourself some friends that can help you get things done. If there's going to be any change, the change has to come from us. Like Michael Jackson said, change starts with the man in the mirror. Recognize that corporate media is not there to advance you. They don't give you any information that's going to benefit you. Undermine their relevance and destroy their power. Thanks for listening. Take it in and win.